Over 80 live performances a day, 60 local kitchens, 14 stages, all the weather. The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival is unlike any concert or festival I had ever been to. Here is the hard-won system I learned to make the most of my first Jazz Fest so you can crush your first time too. Let the good times roll. Let's start with the music. So much music. The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival is really two festivals in one. At the top of the bill are the big headliners. In one weekend, my partner and I saw Stevie Nicks, Rod Stewart, John Batiste, Tyler Childers, David Byrne, and Kings of Leon. But these world-renowned artists are just the icing on the cake. The heart of the Jazz and Heritage Festival is the jazz and heritage music. Like we were, you'll be surprised and delighted by artists you've never heard of in genres you don't ever listen to. Blues, jazz, gospel, traditional jazz, Cajun and Zydeco, Caribbean, each has its own dedicated stage. There's a children's music stage, the festival is very family friendly, a stage for artist interviews, and multiple smaller stages. Be sure to catch the parades, 5 or 6 every day, winding through the grounds with brass bands, steppers, and if you don't know what black masking Indians are, I am not going to spoil the fantastical surprise. The festival runs across 2 Thursday to Sunday weekends in late April and early May from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., just 8 hours a day. But with 5 to 6 acts per stage across 14 stages plus the parades, that's over 80 performances daily and virtually no repeats. You cannot see them all. Here are my first-timer tips for making the most of this overflowing bounty of music. 1. Those 8 hours will fly by, so don't waste any of them. Get to the fairgrounds before 11 a.m. so you can get through security and be in front of a stage at 11:15 when the music starts. 2. Plan who you'd like to see, but wait until a month before the festival when the cubes come out. The cubes are the daily schedule, who's on each stage in each time slot. 3. But how can you know who you'd like to see when you haven't heard of 90% of them? YouTube is your friend. Even the smallest local acts with no albums to their name have pro-shot live videos from festivals, clubs, and radio station WWOZ. Print out the cubes, watch a few minutes of each band live, cross out the ones you can skip, star the ones you'd enjoy seeing if you could, and double star your must-sees. That marked up cube will be your map for each day's festival. 4. Plan to split sets. You will have time slots with multiple must-sees. It hurts. The final Sunday time slot, we started with Rod Stewart, tore ourselves away reluctantly to go see John Batiste, and then sprinted across the fairgrounds to catch the end of David Byrne's set. 5. Despite all this planning I'm recommending, I also recommend you leave room for serendipity. As you're moving to the next act, stop for a minute to enjoy a parade coming through or a song at a stage that you're just passing. We never went in the gospel tent, but we always caught a song as we passed by. Next up, food and drink and shopping. I know I said the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival was 2 festivals in one. That's not quite right. It's actually 3, because New Orleans Heritage is just as much about food as music. You'll find no overpriced generic state fair food here. Instead, over 60 local kitchens will serve you up a Louisiana cuisine festival. Po' boys, jambalaya, gumbo, red beans and rice, oysters, muffulettas, boudin balls, crawfish monica, snowballs, and so much more. 3 little tips. First, at least once, start your day with hot beignets and coffee from the booth of the world-famous Café du Monde. For lunch, seek out the cochon de lait po' boy. It is a famous festival entree. 1 bite and you'll thank me. And take your food with you to the next stage so you don't have to miss a minute of magic. Sadly, Louisiana's rich cocktail heritage doesn't translate to something the size of this festival. If, like me, you crave a classic like a Sazerac, a French 75, or a Hurricane, my tip is to head to the French 75 bar or Peychaud's, both in the French Quarter, once the festival is done for the day. The good news, though, is that one New Orleans drink staple, the frozen daiquiri, is readily available at the festival, brain freezingly cold and delicious. If you like to shop, there's actually a fourth festival, handmade arts and crafts from Louisiana and all around the U.S. In particular, find the flagpole in the center of the festival grounds and look for the Art for Now tent. They've been making clothes for Jazz Fest in a different fabric print each year since 1998. This gator print is from 1999. They also have souvenir posters from every year's festival. Check them out for souvenirs more distinctive than just a ball cap or a shirt with the Jazz Fest logo on it. Oh, and tip, if you're going to shop, get in when the gates open and do your shopping first so you don't miss much music. Now, logistics. Jazz Fest is held at the New Orleans Fairgrounds and Racecourse. Getting to the festival is relatively easy. You can purchase VIP shuttle tickets in advance to take you to and from downtown. You can Uber and get dropped very close to the festival entrances. What really worked for us is New Orleans bike rental program, Blue Bikes. Download the app, use the app to find a nearby e-bike, and take a scenic 20-minute ride from downtown up the Lafitte Greenway to the festival grounds. Plan your route in advance because, as we found, it is hard to look at your map app while cycling. When you get there, you can drop the bike at the fairgrounds and pick one up again at the end of the day. Bring a backpack. It can be up to 17 by 12 by 10 inches and does not have to be clear. You will need it for sunscreen, rain gear, water bottles, programs, souvenirs. Oh, and a tip from bitter experience. If you put something down, put it in the pack. I left my water bottle and cap behind so many times as I moved from stage to stage and had to go back and get them. Bring a refillable water bottle. There are water refill stations throughout the ground so you can stay hydrated. Wear comfortable shoes. You're going to be doing a lot of walking, standing, and dancing. The main stages are at least a half a mile apart on opposite ends of the festival ground, so it's quite a hustle to get from one act to another, especially when you're splitting sets. Having said that, while you'll see more if you can move quickly, you'll still see plenty regardless of your fitness. And I was impressed by the festival's accommodations for differently abled guests throughout the fairgrounds. Know that Saturday is the most crowded day. Plan for extra time to get in and out and to move around on Saturday. Expect bigger crowds at the main stages, particularly if you're after the Saturday night headliner. In our case, it was Stevie Nicks, and it was jammed to overflowing. You'll have to stake out your spot early or go VIP, as I'll explain in a bit. Getting out of the festival is a lot harder than getting in because everyone leaves all at once. If you've got those VIP shuttle tickets, that's your best bet to avoid the chaos. There'll be jams on the limited pedestrian gates and on the residential streets surrounding the festivals. The good news is those residential streets turn into block parties with bands playing on porches and in yards, people cooking and selling food, selling beer out of coolers. You can just hang out until the crowds die down and have a great time. Uber's trickier on the way out. The pickup area is geo-fenced. You won't be able to get picked up within half a mile of the fairgrounds. There's a designated pickup point outside that zone, but there'll be quite a line. Blue Bikes are a good option if you don't have the VIP shuttles. You can pick one up right outside the pedestrian gates, walk it through the first few crowded blocks, and off you go. The good news is that the festival ends at 7 p.m. while it's still light, so navigating everything is much easier than it would be in the dark. You still have time to hit a great restaurant or get a proper cocktail. Make reservations well in advance because there'll be lots of people in town with the same idea. If you don't have a reservation, get there early. Good restaurants and cocktail bars close earlier than you think. A lot of kitchens by 10 p.m., cocktail bars by 11. Weather. Do not trust the weather forecast. Always plan for these two very different weathers to happen on the same day. First, Plan for direct sun, high heat, and high humidity. Sunscreen up. We saw some spectacular, horrendous sunburns, especially on people with fair skin. Wear a hat and lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting, breathable tops. Men, be smarter than me and pack shorts. I only brought jeans the entire festival, and it was not one of my better life choices. As I mentioned earlier, bring refillable water bottles, refill them, drink them, and stay hydrated in the heat. At the same time you're planning for direct sun, though, plan for thunderstorms, even when the forecast says there won't be any. I made that mistake. Have raincoats in your backpack, maybe umbrellas too, and plan to be caught in heavy rain. And even if it doesn't rain while you're there, it may rain overnight and you'll show up at the festival grounds the next morning to find them kind of muddy. Make sure those comfy shoes I recommended are ones you're okay getting muddy. Tickets and VIP passes. How much does it cost to go to Jazz Fest? If you get a general admission 4-day pass, it's a bargain. $459 for a 4-day weekend. That's less than $115 per day for 8 hours of solid music with world-class headliners. Get the GA pass and have a great time. You won't regret it. If you're thinking of upgrading to VIP, here are the pros and cons I found. The two big VIP passes, the Big Chief and the Grand Marshal, cost $200,000 for the 4-day weekend. So price is definitely a con. We still splurge for Big Chief. For why I splurge on concert tickets and how I can afford to, watch this video here. I wanted my 5'4" partner to see the performances, and Big Chief got us reserved elevated seating sections at the big 5 stages. Covered grandstand seating at the 2 main stages, Festival and Gentilly, on stage, side of stage covered seating at Congo Square stage, and reserved bleacher seating inside the blues tent and the jazz tent. However, when we first got to those covered grandstands at the main stages, I had my doubts. They were kind of far off from the main stages. We could have been closer with GA if we'd gotten there early enough and were willing to stand. But as the festival went on, we started to realize the value of the Big Chief VIP. First, in the heat of the sun and in the pouring rain like we talked about, those covered grandstands were shady and dry. And we appreciated getting off our feet in between hustling from stage to stage. Surprise bonus for us, the Congo Square on-stage, side-of-stage seating was like having a VIP backstage pass view of the performances. We ended up going to Congo Square more than we'd originally planned because we loved the experience, seeing friends of the band watching the show, guest performers waiting in the wings to go on, the next band behind the stage prepping to go on. So cool. We also appreciated the Big Chief air-conditioned lounge with complimentary drinks and snacks and just a place to sit down and recharge our batteries. Literally, they had complimentary phone chargers. But the biggest advantage we found with the Big Chief Pass, the real selling point, turned out to be the ability to see more music. We could show up anytime at any of the big 5 stages and have a place to sit with a good sight line. That meant, 1, we didn't have to leave a set early to stake out a good spot at the next stage. And 2, we could split sets a lot more easily. We could start at one stage, leave for another stage in the middle of that set, walk right in, and have a place to sit down at the next stage. By festival's end, we really felt we'd gotten our money's worth. We would definitely get that Big Chief package again. What about the Grand Marshal VIP Pass? Unlike Big Chief, Grand Marshal does not have reserved covered seating areas at the big 5 stages. Instead, it has reserved standing areas right in front at the big 3, Festival, Gentility, and Congo Square. If you're all about getting up close and personal with world-renowned performers at the big 3 stages, and you're willing to stand instead of enjoying covered seating at those stages, and you're willing to go GA at Blues and Jazz Tent because you get no VIP privileges at those 2, then Grand Marshal could be for you. Whew. My final first-timer tip. You know the saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint? Well, Jazz Fest is both. Each day is a sprint. 8 hours of moving, listening, dancing, eating, making the most of each once-in-a-lifetime day. When you sprint for 4 days, though, that's a marathon. So in between each day, get a good night's sleep. Don't hammer yourself on Bourbon Street till 3 a.m. Save that for Sunday night when the festival's over. Bourbon Street's not going anywhere. But when each festival day is done, it's gone forever. Be fully present at each one. I'm Kevin Mepham. For 17 years, I've been obsessed with how you and I can build lives that thrive as we age and right now by focusing on the fundamentals. Welcome to Thrivespan. Subscribe and join me on this journey. And if you're wondering how I afford Jazz Fest VIP tickets, travel, and craft cocktails on a budget, watch this video next to learn how to spend more time on what you love. Till next time, thrive now for life.